Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the stories and secrets of rare coins that could be hiding incredible value. On Top 1 today, we're diving into the world of the 1987 United States 5-cent coin. Yes, that's right, a simple nickel from the 1980s could potentially be worth a small fortune today. Stick around until the end to find out why this coin is so valuable and how it could be worth an amazing $38,000. Let's rewind to 1987. America was a country embracing change, with technology advancing, culture evolving, and the economy on the upswing. Ronald Reagan was president, and the world was seeing a blend of optimism and innovation. In the midst of all this, the U.S. Mint continued its usual job, producing millions of coins for everyday transactions, including the 5-cent nickel. The 1987 nickel might seem like a regular coin, but it has a unique place in history. Coins from the 80s are now more than 30 years old, and while they were common back then, finding one in mint condition today is far from easy. Many of these coins have been heavily circulated, so finding a pristine 1987 nickel is becoming increasingly rare, and that rarity can translate to big value for collectors. Now, let's take a closer look at the design and meaning behind this classic US 5-cent coin. On the obverse, or head side, you'll see the face of Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential founding fathers and the third president of the United States. Jefferson has graced the nickel since 1938, symbolizing American ideals of freedom, democracy, and intellectual exploration. Flip the coin over to the reverse side, and you'll find an image of Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate. This iconic design, with Monticello standing proudly, represents Jefferson's legacy and love for architecture, as well as his enduring impact on American history. Together, these designs make each nickel a tiny tribute to Jefferson's contributions to the country. While the nickel's design may have remained consistent over the decades, each year of minting has slight variations that make every coin unique. For 1987 nickels, certain characteristics make them especially interesting for collectors. So, why are some 1987 nickels worth so much? It all comes down to rarity and condition. While millions of these nickels were produced, only a few have survived in near-perfect condition. Most of the 1987 nickels have been in circulation for decades, accumulating the typical marks, scratches, and signs of use. Collectors are on the lookout for 1987 nickels that are in uncirculated or untouched condition. These coins have been preserved without the damage that comes from years of handling, which makes them rare and highly collectible. A 1987 nickel in pristine, untouched condition is a rare find, and that rarity can send its value soaring in the marketplace. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Some 1987 nickels have unique features or minting errors that make them stand out even more. Minting errors are accidental changes in the coin-making process that result in unusual features like double strikes, off-center text, or slight variations in the metal composition. For collectors, error coins are like hidden treasures, because each error makes the coin a one-of-a-kind piece. If you're lucky enough to have a 1987 nickel with an error, like a doubling in the Monticello text or an unusual strike pattern, it could make your coin even more desirable and valuable. These unique minting variations are highly sought after because they're so rare, and they can significantly boost the coin's worth. Over the years, the demand for coins from the 1980s has been steadily rising, especially as these coins become older and harder to find in good condition. Coins like the 1987 nickel have grown in value as collectors recognize that fewer high-quality examples remain in circulation. Each year that passes, the number of well-preserved 1,987 nickels decreases, making them increasingly rare and valuable. Collectors today know that if they can find a 1987 nickel in top-notch condition, they're holding onto something special. And as more people enter the world of coin collecting, the demand for these rarities only continues to grow. So, if you're lucky enough to come across a high-quality 1987 nickel, you might have a small treasure in your hands. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. How much could a 1987 US 5-cent coin really be worth? Well, if you have one in uncirculated condition, or better yet, with a unique minting error, your 1987 nickel could be valued at a jaw-dropping $38,000. Yes, you heard that right. $38,000 for a single nickel. Who would have thought that something so small could carry such incredible value? So, if you have a jar of old coins lying around, go through it carefully. You might just uncover a rare 1987 nickel that could make you a tidy sum. Top 2, we're going to talk about a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket change, the 1988 United States 5-cent coin, or nickel. It may seem like just another ordinary piece of currency, but believe it or not, this coin could be worth far more than its face value. Stick around until the end to find out how much this 5-cent nickel is really worth. It's going to surprise you. Let's take a quick trip back to 1988. It was a year of change and progress. The world was witnessing new developments in technology, and in the United States, the economy was growing steadily under President Ronald Reagan's administration. But while all this was happening, the U.S. Mint was hard at work producing millions of coins for everyday transactions, including the 1988 5-cent coin. The 1988 nickel was part of the regular coinage and was designed for general circulation. But, much like every other coin in circulation, over time, most of them became worn, used, and often overlooked. Fast forward a few decades, and we find that the 1988 nickel has become a hidden gem in the world of numismatics. You might not have known it at the time, but that simple nickel you used in your pocket or paid for a snack with could now be worth far more than you ever imagined. Let's take a moment to appreciate the design of the 1988 nickel. On the obverse, or head side of the coin, we see a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and one of the nation's founding fathers. Jefferson's image has graced the nickel since 1938, and his image represents the ideals of freedom, democracy, and liberty that have shaped this country. On the reverse side, or tail side of the coin, we find Monticello, Jefferson's estate in Virginia. Monticello represents Jefferson's legacy as a man of intellect, architecture, and innovation. The detailed engraving of Monticello has remained a part of the nickel's design for decades, making this coin a true piece of American history. But what makes the 1988 nickel particularly interesting is that, like other coins minted during this time, it carries the typical wear and tear of years in circulation. However, finding one that has been preserved in excellent condition, or with a unique feature, is what makes it highly sought after by collectors. So, why has the 1988 nickel become a collector's item? The key to its value lies in its rarity and condition. While millions of these nickels were minted, most of them were used for everyday purchases and were exposed to the elements. With time, these coins became worn and damaged, meaning that finding an uncirculated 1988 nickel is becoming increasingly rare. Uncirculated coins, meaning those that have never been used in circulation, are the holy grail for collectors. These coins have been carefully stored and have not been subjected to the usual wear and tear of daily life. When a 1988 nickel is in pristine, uncirculated condition, it's worth far more than just 5 cents. In addition to rarity, some 1988 nickels may feature unique characteristics or minting errors. Minting errors are accidental anomalies that happen during the production process, such as misprints, off-center strikes, or doubled images. These errors are particularly valuable to collectors because they are unique and one-of-a-kind, making the coin even more desirable. Imagine stumbling upon a 1988 nickel that was struck slightly off-center, or with a double die error in Jefferson's portrait. These minting variations are extremely rare and can increase the value of the coin exponentially. Error coins are highly sought after in the numismatic world, and the rarer the error, the higher the potential value. The market for coins from the 1980s has been growing steadily, especially as these coins are no longer being produced in such large quantities. As time goes on, coins like the 1988 nickel become more difficult to find in mint condition, making them increasingly valuable. Collectors are always on the lookout for high-quality coins from the 1980s, and demand for these older nickels has steadily risen. As the supply of uncirculated 1988 nickels decreases, their value continues to climb, especially for those in pristine condition or with minting errors. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Just how much could a 1988 US 5-cent coin be worth? If you happen to have a 1988 nickel in uncirculated condition, or even one with a minting error, you could be holding on to something that's worth an incredible $35,000. Such an extraordinary value. But that's the beauty of coin collecting. So, the next time you're going through your spare change or looking at a coin collection, don't overlook those older nickels. You might just find a rare 1988 gem that could be worth a small fortune. top 3, we're going to talk about a coin that's over half a century old but could still be worth a small fortune. The United States 5-cent coin from 1964, also known as the nickel. If you have one of these in your collection, or perhaps tucked away in your spare change jar, you might be holding something much more valuable than you realize. Stick around until the end of the video to find out exactly how much this 1964 nickel could be worth today. You're in for a big surprise. Let's go back in time to 1964. It was a pivotal year in American history. The country was in the midst of the civil rights movement, and the world was witnessing significant political and cultural shifts. The U.S. Mint, however, was busy creating coins for everyday use, including the 1964 5-cent nickel. 1964 was an interesting year for U.S. coinage. Just 1 year earlier, in 1963, President John F. Kennedy had been assassinated, and the U.S. Mint began the transition to producing the iconic Kennedy half-dollar coin. But amidst all the change, the nickel still carried the same trusted design that had been circulating for decades. The 1964 5-cent coin was minted during a time of relative economic prosperity, just before the tumult of the late 1960s. Although millions of 1964 nickels were produced, time has shown that not all of them survived in great condition. Finding one today that's been well preserved, or better yet, an error coin from this time, could be a huge find for collectors. Let's take a moment to appreciate the design of the 1964 nickel. On the obverse, or head side, you'll see a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and a founding father who played a pivotal role in shaping the nation. His likeness has graced the nickel since 1938, and it remains one of the most recognizable images in U.S. coinage. On the reverse side, or tail side, you'll find a detailed engraving of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate. The depiction of Monticello on the nickel is an iconic symbol of Jefferson's legacy and his contribution to American architecture. This design is a constant reminder of his influence on the nation, and it's one of the reasons why Jefferson's portrait continues to be featured on the nickel to this day. However, as time has passed, coins like the 1964 nickel that were once common are now harder to find in pristine condition due to years of wear and tear. This brings us to the exciting part: why the 1964 nickel is so valuable today. So, why has the 1964 5-cent nickel become so valuable? The answer lies in rarity and condition. While millions of these coins were minted, over time, most of them circulated extensively. This means that finding a well-preserved or uncirculated 1964 nickel is a rare find. Coins in uncirculated condition have never been used in daily transactions, which means they have no signs of wear, scratches, or fading. These pristine coins are highly sought after by collectors because they are harder to find and are considered much more valuable than the average, worn-out coin. Over the decades, the number of uncirculated 1964 nickels has decreased, which increases their value in the market. It's not just about finding a 1964 nickel. It's about finding one in top condition that can stand out in a collection. Here's where things get even more interesting. Some 1964 nickels have unique features or even minting errors that can make them even more valuable. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong in the coin production process, like a double strike, an off-center strike, or even a misaligned die. These errors can make a coin one of a kind, which is a huge draw for collectors. For example, some 1964 nickels have been found with slight imperfections or double dies, where parts of the coin are struck twice during the minting process, creating a faint, ghost image. These rare errors are highly prized, and they can increase the value of the coin dramatically. If you're lucky enough to find a 1964 nickel with a unique error or distinctive feature, you could be holding a true treasure, as these one-of-a-kind coins are worth far more than the typical nickel. As the years go by, coins from the 1960s are becoming harder to find, and the demand for these rare coins has been steadily rising. The market for rare U.S. coins, especially those in excellent condition, continues to grow as collectors become more and more interested in finding vintage coins that tell the story of America's past. In the case of the 1964 nickel, its value has steadily appreciated over time as fewer high-quality examples remain in circulation. With the increasing interest in rare coins and the decreasing number of well-preserved nickels, their value has reached new heights in recent years. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. If you have a 1964 5-cent nickel in uncirculated condition, or better yet, one with a unique minting error, You could be holding onto a coin worth $42,000. That's right, $42,000 for a single nickel. It just goes to show how much value can be hidden in the most unexpected places. So, if you have a collection of older coins, especially from the 1960s, it's time to take a closer look. You might just have a 1964 nickel that's worth a small fortune. Thanks for joining us on this exciting exploration of rare coins. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future discoveries. Until next time, happy collecting, and who knows, you might find your own treasure hidden in your change.